Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. We have quite an interesting radio here today. I acquired it from my father-in-law as a gift for my birthday, and it is a Crosley Collector's Edition radio. Now, I looked at this radio but not thoroughly. I seen it is made in 1995, and I know it has a couple issues with it. One issue being that was supposed to be a door. It's pretty cool. So I know that the cassette player has bad belts and the tuning dial is messed up on it. But I want to see if I have a belt for this. I do have a kit of belts. I'm going to try to get a belt on this and get it tuned on speed and maybe dial in the azimuth on it using the oscilloscope over here. It is just a mono player. I know that with a stereo cassette player, I would connect both the channels to the oscilloscope and run an XY axis, and you can really dial in the azimuth really well that way. But for a mono one, I guess I will play, what is it, the 10 kilohertz side on side B on this cassette, and I will just adjust it for its highest peak. So I'll play 10 kilohertz, adjust it for its highest peak, that way I know the azimuth is good on that. And I have a test tape, the Black Album from Metallica. This cassette is foobar, does not sound good, it's messed up. But this is what's wrong with the tuner on it. It's an AM/FM tuner. It's picking up some interference on FM. It has, let's see if I can turn the light on here. AM, FM, and FM with automatic frequency control. On AM, it's not picking up much. Maybe because it's quiet. Alright. So this is what's wrong with the dial here. It loses connection right there. I'll dial it back and it'll re-grab and move. I think there's something wrong with the dial cord. Eventually it's going to bring it back. Uh-oh. There it goes. Yeah, there's something wrong with the dial cord. So, I don't believe there's anything wrong with the tuner. But we're going to take a look at that. But I'll turn the flashlight back on. There's nothing real about the I forgot what you call this. It's a cylindrical phonograph, I'll just say that, but I don't know the exact name of it. But it's just for show. Pull the horn off too. And it wouldn't be the greatest gift to give to someone who likes to listen to Christian stuff, because the cylinder on this thing says you will never get to heaven. That's a nice touch. The rubber feet on this thing grip this table like there's no tomorrow. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get this thing apart and pull the chassis out. There's the one center speaker. It doesn't sound bad. Man, this thing grips the table. Oh, and this isn't a real hand crank. I believe it's from 1995. Alright, so let's go ahead and get it apart. Alright, so it's laying on its face right now with the phonograph on top. I got the back cover off. Upon discovery, the negative wire is broken off the back of the motor here, and the back of the cover of the motor was laying in here along with the little isolator. little foam isolator that sits on the back of the motor. I don't know how that happened because last time I was messing with this, the motor was fine, it worked, and I didn't do anything to the inside of this. I just put it back together. I don't know how this happened. It was sitting in a hot shed for a while. I don't know if the heat just made it just pop open, but that doesn't explain how the negative wire just broke. Interesting. And here's the tuner board, along with the audio amplifier. It has a 8 ohm 3 watt speaker. Right down in the center there is a KA2201. There's an 8-pin 1.2 watt audio amplifier. And right here is the TDA 8164P. That is just the tuner IC. Nothing, you know, exaggerated. Like no, it's a simple circuit. But I don't think I'm going to have any problem with the radio or the amplifier. I think this is all working good. It's just my dial cord, and the belt is weak on this. It is intact, but it's just really weak. And the motor needs repairing. Hopefully I can resolder that. I mean, that's broken. I don't know if I can find... yeah, it looks to be a little metal right there I can connect that negative to. Or hopefully it's just like chassis ground. I can just solder the negative wire right to the chassis of the motor and it'll work. There's the speed adjuster, and I'm gonna get that pressed back into the motor. Hopefully I can get that fixed. If not, I just have to replace the motor. Yeah, I think this is gonna be the easy repair: the belt and the motor, the dial cord. I've never dealt with a dial cord before. Hopefully it's not too cumbersome, if that's the word. And before I get into the repair, down here it says 1995. October 28th, 1995. Huh. 3 days before Halloween. This is limited edition, model 1875 only. This is number 687 out of 5,000, so they only made 5,000 of these. Just a little collector radio. AM 525 to 710 kilohertz, 88 to 108. And I've been messing with this thing off camera. This negative wire, it doesn't mean the motor doesn't work, because this motor is actually picking up its negative right through its chassis mounted to here. So I stuck the cassette in there and the motor started running, but it wasn't moving because the belt was just so loose that it didn't even begin to move the transport. Didn't move the capstan drive, or it didn't do anything. It just spun right here at the belt. But I'm guessing this might be just to reduce motor noise. So if anything, I could probably just solder it to the chassis that of the motor. But then again, that's connected right here. That's connected to the chassis of the motor. So what is the point of this wire? No, it did connect to the circuit board here. So I'll probably just jump solder from that negative right over to the chassis, and since it's grounded through here. But yeah, let's go ahead and pop the cassette in. So it's not moving, but the motor is spinning, as you guys can hear that. So it's spinning, and it can fast forward the tape. It's fast forwarding it right now. Just doesn't have the strength to play it. Man, that's a hard button to press. Alright, so I get the build off. Later I'm thinking about improving my setup where I can actually have my phone or a separate camera on a mount. That way I can use both hands and That way I can actually record myself repairing the radio, but it sucks I have to just pause recording and do the repairs off camera. But that's the original belt. It's got a nice little kink right there, and I have a brand new bag of unused square belts, straight from you know where. And I believe I have the right size in here, so let's go ahead and find that size. And I think this thing is going to be happy. I might find a belt that's slightly smaller in circumference, since this is just stretched and loose. Alright, so I believe I found the belt. I used two hands. I put these two screws through both the belts and stretched them apart. And I found that this belt was a little tighter than this belt. So, I think this is gonna work out really well. See, the one with the kink is a little looser. So, this might work. Alright, so I went ahead and put that belt on, and it just feels really loose, but no, it grips. So I'll put this tape in, if I can find the hole. Oh, it's right there. There we go. Put that in, and it's playing. And the capstan drive just has a godly amount of torque. It actually has really good torque on it. And I already tested up here. If I hold that down, it's going to auto stop. It auto stops at the takeoff reel. Yeah, it plays good. Let's turn it up a little bit. It's playing really slow. I'm gonna have to adjust the speed on that, but yeah. So now I just gotta adjust the speed and get that dead on. I'm gonna use the cassette right here. I want to keep that away from the speaker, not too close. Adjust the speed for 3 kilohertz and get the azimuth aligned, if I can do that. Probably have to take out the whole mechanism. And then it's off to the dial cord. Alright, so I got the mechanism pulled out. It was 4 screws on this beauty cover over here that held the front in, and then 3 screws on the bottom through the bottom of the radio right here. And I can see indeed, if I can get a good shot of the playback head here. Focus. Yeah, it's a mono. It's a mono playback head. Camera likes to not work with me here, but it's a mono head, and I can adjust the azimuth. I don't think it's ever been adjusted, and I can get right down into that speed trimmer right there. Almost have grill nails. I'm gonna fix that up. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, so I'm gonna I can't decide if I should use the flashlight or not, but yeah, I think flashlight's better. So, got the appropriate screwdriver, got the 3000 hertz test tape, or 10 kilohertz. We're going to see how bad this is. So let's go ahead and fire up the oscilloscope. I have the oscilloscope connected directly to the speaker. Let's turn on the radio. Let's see. Speed this up. Let's see if it's picking up the speaker. Yep, it is. Alright. Oh, I love one-handed working. There it goes. Let me turn this down. Sounds like it's speeding up. And we're going to... I'm going to turn off the flashlight for this one. Bring up the readout. That's beautiful. Got some modulation in there. Where's that button? What the hell? Well, it says it's not too bad on speed. I'd just like for my trigger to be a little happier here. Oh, that works. Well, let's see if I can... It says it's around 3, but I need to get a more accurate reading here. If it wasn't so buzzy. I'd say it starts here and ends there. It's a little hard to do when the signal's not clean. I'm gonna have to turn it up, see if we can get a clearer signal. Yeah. There we go. Now I can clearly see the ends there. It looks like it's dead on 3 kilohertz actually. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna end that. I'm gonna have to do this one-handed. No, two-handed, I meant. Yeah. Right now I'm currently fast-forwarding the tape. Well, rewinding it, actually. I'm fast-forwarding on the other side since that's how the mechanism operates. Yeah, it looks to be operating at 3 kilohertz, so I don't know why. I didn't do anything to the speed on this thing. So I wonder if Enter Sandman on Metallica will actually sound fine now. Not really. Wait a minute. That's weird. I don't know why the test tape was playing at exactly 3 kilohertz. I don't know, to me that sounds a little slow. No, it's on speed. Can't play too much of that because of copyright reasons. Alright, so it does play at the right speed. I think the motor instability is probably due to this wire that needs to be soldered to the negative. It might cause it to regulate its speed a little better. I don't know. I'll be honest. But I will get that wire soldered up. But it was playing exactly 3 kilohertz, and it was slow at first, and it sped up on the test tape, right? That's what it did for the Metallica cassette. It sounded slow at first, but then it started warming up, and I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, that sounds fine. So I think it's something to do with the regulator in this. This wire might have something to do with that, because this negative wire is supposed to connect right here, and that just runs right over to the ground to, I believe this is the IC inside here. And then I have to put this metal shield on here too with the this in there. Alright, so I have it on 10 kilohertz now. We're going to try to adjust it for this highest, the highest sensitivity on 10 kilohertz. And get the azimuth adjusted. So, the oscilloscope's going. It's about ready to play. Alright. Looks to be like we have a signal here. I'm going to turn up the volume. Yeah, that's it. It's picking up some sort of oscillation. I wonder if I just connect the oscilloscope directly to the playback head. Alright, that was a failed experiment. I'm back. Even connecting it directly to the playback head, if I max out my sensitivity, I could barely pick up the signal, so I'm on the output of the speaker, so I'm going to turn this back on. It's playing. Let's dial up the intensity just a little bit. So I'm going to try to adjust the azimuth to where I have this peak to peak as high as possible. And as far as the great camera work is going, I can only do this with two hands. I have to get a tripod. That'll improve my YouTube channel. Alright, so this is where it's at. If I dial my trigger, I can almost get it to lock on the signal. It's kind of hard. But I got it at its highest output. If I try to turn the screw any other way, it just drops. But I got the screw right where the sine wave is at its highest peak on 10 kilohertz. So azimuth is in the ballpark. The motor's at 3 kilohertz. I just got to put the foam back on, put the back plate on, solder the wire back, and we're going to tackle the dial cord. Alright, so I got the cassette player back in. I didn't put the bracket on just yet. I pulled the volume, tone, and the band select off. However, the tuning wasn't happening. I was pulling on it. I'm like, it's on there pretty good. I'm assuming that I just pull out the board and it's gonna have a recess where it just connects to that knob there. So, but the cassette player is ready to go. I got the wire soldered on. And I got the back plate put back on. It's ready to go. Alright, let's get to this tuner cable. Or, yeah. It's gonna be fun. I never dealt with those. Alright. That concludes this video. I'm done with this box. It's getting late at night. This cheap thing. Yeah, it's like some limited collector's edition radio from 1995, but it's a Crosley. And it'll always be a modern junk Crosley radio. Because how this thing was assembled, look at the screws. That one's chewed up. That one under there is chewed up. That's not by me. That one on the transformer's chewed up. I got most of what I could get out. I even got like the main 4 screws on this black chassis down here, plastic chassis, and I thought that would pull out the board, but I'm guessing it's held by this transformer screw. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just get all the screws out of the tuner board and see if I can pull that out. But these screws are all just chewed up, like they went to town with an electric screwdriver and just barred up the screws. Right now, I actually just don't have the patience and time to deal with trying to get these screws out of this radio. I'm going to have to focus on it some other time. The dial cord will get fixed some other time. But that concludes this radio. It sucks it just came to a really bad ending.